Welcome back to the Puma Podcast. I'm Puma.
And I'm Tory.
We're glad you're joining us today.
Yes,
Last week we started a new series, and we titled the series Real Love.
Real love.
Real Love, looking at 1 Corinthians 13, the love chapter.
Yeah, there's a lot of fake love. We're talking about real love.
We're talking about real love, yeah. Well, everyone and their mother has a definition of love.
That's true.
And just because someone has a definition of love doesn't mean that their definition of love is real or true.
Yeah. Yeah, we want the biblical definition, not the, I don't know.
Well, we want to go back to the source, right?
True, yeah.
I mean, again, 1 John chapter 4, love comes from God. God is the source of love. God is love, John says in 1 John chapter 4.
Yeah.
And so when God, who is the source of love, who is the expression of love, shows us what love is, and mercifully and graciously has given us his word in the Bible to tell us what love is and gives us a picture, a portrait of what love is.
Yeah.
We want to look at that and see what he says, because let's be honest, I would like to be a loving guy. I don't want to be a selfish guy, even though it seems to be what comes out most of the time.
Yeah.
So,
well, you're not alone there. And speaking of selfish, can I start with the story?
Start a story? Yes.
Cool. I mean, to introduce this topic,
Can I stop you? I can hit the button.
That's true.
Yeah.
You can try.
I can hit the button, but it's on the other side of the table.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So as we introduce this topic for today, I want to share a story that happened a while back. So I was driving, as one does, right? Going, I think, to work, and I'm using the interstate, right? And if you've ever been on the interstate during kind of a rush hour type, it's kind of hard to get on. And this was kind of one of those peak moments around lunchtime. So I'm like trying to merge on to 380, and it was pretty heavy traffic. And it wasn't like terrible, but it wasn't some easy merge on. And so there's a car, right to my left as I'm trying to merge on, and they see me. And it was a bunch of guys, and they were like, to say nicely, they were just kind of hooligans. They were just kind of
hooligans.
Yeah.
Yes.
They were, looking at me, pointing at me, and flipping me off. I'm like, what did I do? I'm trying to get on. So I try to merge on, and they match me. So then I speed up, and they match me. And I'm like, I'm trying to get on. I'm about to run into the median, right? So I slow down. They slow down. And I ended up having to slam on the brakes and barely turning in just to barely, make it to the interstate. And they're laughing at me. They were just jeering, giving me bad hand gestures. And I'm like, what did I do? I don't know who you guys are. So they're kind of mocking me. And then they, go into the fast lane and speed ahead. Okay, that was annoying. That was rude. I don't know what I did. But I'm like, man, sure, they might have...
You just have that face.
I guess so. So I'm thinking, okay, so they were mean to me. But again, just because someone sins against me, I'm now innocent if I don't forgive them. So I'm like, Lord, I don't want this to ruin my day. I'm going to forgive them in my heart. They'll never know that, but I'm going to not let my emotions get the best of me. So I keep driving on the interstate. Well, they run into some semis up ahead, so they slow down. So now I'm right next to them.
Right, and part of me is like, nice.
I know, it's like...
Or part of me is like, oh, hopefully there's a cop up there over there speeding.
Right.
Get some justice.
Right, you want some sweet liberty justice. Anyway, so I'm now in the right lane. They're in the left lane, and they see me, right? And they start poking at me and, like looking at me and laughing, which is fine. But then they tried to get off. I'm like, oh. So now they need me to move to let them on because there were semis this up in front of us. So they couldn't, unless I just really slow down and let them across, they're going to miss their exit. I'm thinking, okay.
Ooh, that'd be terrible.
Oh, wow. Wouldn't that be awful? And part of me feels vindicated, right? They were a jerk to me.
Thank you, God, for delivering them into my hands.
Right. Yeah. Sweet revenge. But then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to show kindness. I'm going to let them on. So I slow down, and of course I let them in. And as they veer off, they're yelling, flipping me off again. I'm like, again, I was irritated. But then I thought, you know what, Lord, I was kind to them, right? I was patient with them, and I showed them mercy and grace, and yet they will never know that. And part of me is like, I just did a good thing for them, and then they will never know. Like, I'm not going to follow them and stop them. Hey, by the way, guys, did you know I was kind to you guys, and I could have gotten mad, but I chose to forgive you. Like, no one's going to see that. They're never going to see that. And I thought, here I am trying to honor God, and yet no one's going to know except God and I. and just hit me.
And now everybody on this podcast.
Well, yeah. Okay, yeah. This is not me just tooting my own horn, I guess.
Right, but no, at the moment, yeah, it's just an illustration of where we're going today, right?
And I thought if there was an ESPN of like Christian acts in the world, people who act like Christ, this probably wouldn't make it. Right, we hear of the great acts.
This is not something that you write for your church newsletter.
Right.
Hey, here's a good deed today.
Right, I was patient and I was kind to people who were not. Right. I mean, typically you see that, oh, this person gave all their money to help this missionary, or, oh, this person sacrificially gave a kidney, or, you see the things people do. We don't see the things people... I don't know.
I actually would like to see that article.
That would be a cool newsletter.
Yeah, right.
But, we don't see the things undone. We just typically see the actions that are more, newsworthy,
Sure,
right?
Right.
But as we're about to look through this, this chapter, these verses, a lot of things are not seen except by God.
Right. We're going to look at 1 Corinthians 13, verses 4 through 7. And there's 14 parts here of this portrait of real love, 7 of which are stated positively and 7 which are negatively.
Yeah.
Some things are just not seen.
Right.
Yeah. But so should we get into...
Yeah, this is a long intro.
It is a long intro, but I think your experience highlights one of the things that Paul is talking about as he gets into this. And so let's go ahead and dive in, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, Puma. So here we are. Let's dissect, this verse 4 a little bit. So what are our kind of 2 words we're kind of looking at today?
Yeah, so last week as we did the introduction, that if you can speak amazingly and post amazingly, but without love, you're just noise. If you can do prophecies and mysteries and all kinds of stuff, but you don't have love, he says you're nothing.
Yeah.
Right? You're nothing. Then he says if you feed the homeless and you take care of every immigrant and you do all these things, but you are not motivated by love, you've gained nothing.
Yeah.
So then the question is, well, then what is love? What is love? And so in verse 4, Paul begins, 3 verses of just listing out 14 snapshots. None of these define love holistically or comprehensively, but these are all just kind of snapshots that we take all of them together. So to understand each individual part and then put them all together, you get a glimpse into this agape love for the heart of God.
Yeah.
And so the first thing he says, verse 4 says, love is patient, love is kind. Love is patient, and love is kind.
Patient. Kind.
Patient. Yeah, patience for those that are maybe an older generation will remember when the internet first came and you had to have a modem on your computer and you had to dial a phone number and it would make the crinkling sound. And I can remember sitting there for minutes, sometimes 5 minutes, waiting for the phone line to connect, for my computer to connect to the internet, just to send an email. Just to send an email. I remember sitting there thinking, oh man, this is taking so long, but I'm not going to get angry because I want to reflect Jesus. I'm being patient.
I knew it.
Patient. Yeah. Is that what Paul is talking about here?
That is not an unrelational thing. I think the concept may be to wait, but you're right. It's a reaction to something that either you want or you're waiting for, but you have to pause. You have to be patient. And I think it's a heart posture more than just, an action here. But yeah, I think there's elements of it.
Patient is just waiting, right? We just waiting. But the context here, and even the words here, like this word, love is patient, we could retranslate that long suffering, to suffer a long time. And all these words are relational words. In fact, this long suffering is used primarily with relationships.
Yeah, interesting.
Right? I can not like having to wait for my computer to connect to the internet. I might be impatient sitting at a light for 10 minutes because, there's traffic backed up and there's road construction and I just am like, getting all irritated. But that's not the kind of patience Paul has in mind here. It's the kind of patience, long suffering with people. Now, why would we have to be patient with people?
Because people are difficult.
Because people are people.
Yeah. Well, but we, we have the belief that people are sinful, right? By nature and by choice. And with sin comes selfishness and a whole host of other things. And love, it makes the choice. I could react to the sin, but I'm going to be patient with said person, right? And even my experience on the interstate, patience is hard, you know? I mean, here I'm a lover of Jesus, and I was like, I'm mad. They were rude to me, and instead of lashing out, I'm going to, as best I can, and it wasn't perfect, right? My heart definitely wanted, a cop to pull him over or whatever, but still, like, to be patient with someone who has wronged you or who is wronging you,
right?
Be long-suffering.
Yeah, it's the idea of when we've been wronged or when we've been slighted.
Mm-hmm.
So someone says something about you that's not true, or something that leaves the impression that you are maybe what you're not, that maybe you're, just as selfish or, whatever.
Slandering or gossipy.
Slander, whatever. Yeah. How do you respond to that person? The idea of long suffering is that I don't respond in like kind, So if they say something rude to me, our natural reaction is to say something
rude
back or to take revenge,
Mm-hmm.
or like your story. I mean, honestly, no one would have really seen or known if you didn't slow down so they could merge over and get off. Right.
Or it feels you're vindicated. Well, this is just me getting even, or like, hey, what you did to me, I'm just repaying it. I'm not wronging you. I'm just equalizing.
You would feel justified.
Right.
And not that you're trying to be mean or malicious.
Yeah. Someone wronged me and I am just doing what they did to me.
Right. I'm not doing more. I mean, I could do more. I could get out some firearms and start blowing out their tires and road rage. I could do more.
Right.
And God certainly knows that I want to do more. But I am going to be patient and long-suffering. So I'm just going to sit here and not let them merge in.
Right. Or even, you know what? Hey, I may be willing to let them merge, off, but I'm not going to flip them off. So they did multiple things. I'm just going to do one of the things, right? Like I'm actually a better person because I only did one of the three things that they did to me.
Yeah. See, this is where when Paul begins this portrait of real love, he says that real love, this agape love, is long-suffering and kind. You see, it's one thing to not retaliate when we've been wronged. It's another thing to respond with kindness.
It's true.
And so these two things kind of couple together. So like in your story illustration, I mean, if you just kind of kept your steady and whatever, right? So you didn't retaliate when they made you slam on your brakes. You are being long-suffering. But love is not just being long-suffering. You see, these are all snapshots together that define love. So you could be long-suffering, but not kind, and be unloving.
That's interesting. Yeah, you're right.
So
these go together. They all mesh to paint a picture of real love.
Right. So I'm just going to ignore you, right? I'm just going to ignore you, right? We're at work and you're just an irritating coworker. I'm just going to ignore you my whole life.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm being loving or I'm doing right to you because I'm not retaliating.
Yeah.
But see, it's not love. Love is not intentions. Love is action. And so this word kindness is an action word. In fact, when you were looking at it earlier, what did you discover about this word?
Yeah, it's only used once in the entire Bible.
Yeah, it's only used right here. Yeah. And it's not about even being nice. It is about responding by showing some type of kindness or some kind of kind reaction. So in your story, right, so you slowed down to let them merge in. So you were showing kindness or favor. It's a hint at this, what it means to be gracious to somebody who might not deserve, this favor from you. Long suffering and kindness go hand in hand.
Yeah,
that we do not get props just because we put up with somebody, but we think that we're being loving because we just put up with someone irritating.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not just suffering long, but it is responding with kindness.
That's good.
And isn't this what we see with Jesus? I mean, he suffered long all the time. People saying things to him, his family, the religious leaders, the community. And when people didn't get from Jesus what they wanted, Jesus experienced rejection, experienced ridicule. Even growing up in Nazareth, he experienced, slander, being accused of an illegitimate child and all
prejudice
this
and all
prejudice and everything else. It wasn't just loving to put up with that, but how did he responded not with anger, not with retaliation. He responded by showing kindness, favor to the very ones that were hard to deal with.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I think it's such a great point that, we can, not retaliate, but it doesn't mean we have to act kindly,
Right.
Yeah, I almost see this as like a different way of looking at mercy and grace a little bit, right? Mercy, you've wronged me. I'm not going to give you what you deserve. But then to be gracious, to be kind, I'm going to act lovingly. I'm going to act in kindness regardless of how you've treated me.
Right.
Like it's like no strings attached. I'm just going to act benevolently. I'm going to show you charity, favor, because I am a kind person. God's called me to be kind. To love you is to be kind. And this word, it's an action. It is the act of being kind to someone.
Right. It's almost the appropriate response to being wronged and to have to suffer, because maybe this person that is hard to deal with, or someone that, people can intentionally wrong you, and there are, when people are intentionally trying to harm you, there are ways to appropriately deal with that person. This isn't necessarily talking about those that are intentionally. So think of the Corinthian church, right? They were just a bunch of selfish, rude, obnoxious people coming out of a culture that promoted self, and they all come to faith in Jesus. Well, now in the process of becoming like Jesus, they have all these rough edges, right? They're suing each other. They're doing all kinds of stuff with each other. They're not suffering long with each other's inconsistencies or idiosyncrasies. They are not, just suffering long with the foolishness. In fact, they just, they get together for communion, and some people, eat everything. Some people don't. Some people have. Some people whatever, and they do things with wrong motives, et cetera, et cetera. All kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Very reactive and self-entitled.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm going to be the bigger man. I'm going to suffer long, and I'm just going to sit here in the corner and suffer as my act of love toward these people.
Yeah.
That is not a portrait of love. That's not real love, by just enduring and putting up with stuff. Real love suffers long and responds with kindness, with appropriate kindness, with appropriate grace.
Yeah.
Not justifying wrongdoing, but someone that maybe is just not aware. They're just not aware of certain things in their life, and they're still in process of growing. And so you're just going to be patient with them. You're going to suffer along with them, alongside of them, and you're going to respond to them with grace, not revenge or not malice.
Yeah. And it's interesting too that when you do these things, the world may never know.
Right.
This is a perspective lifestyle to be patient and kind, and that doesn't get the fanfare. Oftentimes when you're patient and kind, some people are long suffering, and the guilty party has no idea they're suffering.
Right.
Has no idea they're being shown kindness. They just take it for granted, or they just assume, well, I'm not wrong, so if you have a problem, it's your fault. But really, this is something that to love someone, again, relationships,
right?
This is something that oftentimes is overlooked and not even noticed. And isn't that great though? Like, isn't that the heart of God to give, to love without anyone knowing but God? The heart of love should have nothing to do with, the acknowledgement or the praise of being kind.
Well, think of the long suffering of our God today. Does he not have a right, and does he not get angry towards sin every day?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And yet he punishes sin. The Bible is very clear of that. But the kindness that he shows to us, in spite of our ignorance, in spite of our lack of concern for what is true and right and loving and holy, it is amazing. And so as the people of God, how do we live out real love? Real love. So as we kind of wrap this up, Tory, what's an application question?
Yeah.
Or what would be a good way for us to respond, to this?
Yeah. What's a good AQ? I think a good application question for us is both a question of, our heart and how we respond when people wrong us. I mean, who in your life, who in my life do I live with? Do I see on a regular basis?
Right.
Go to work
with, right?
Yeah, even school starting, right? Like, who are the people in my life that I can show the heart of God to? And that's both in my reaction. If I long suffer, am I willing? It's a choice. Am I willing to suffer long, but not just to suffer as if I'm some martyr, but who am I willing to be patient with and in turn be kind to? Because God was kind to me. And then with that, if I'm willing, like, who in my life can I show and react appropriately? How can I really love them? And am I okay if no one sees that but God? Like, am I willing to love them if no one sees me?
Right.
And that's a question, because sometimes I don't know. I struggle. Should I really be this kind if no one knows? Like, what's the point?
Yeah. Well, I want to get props, right?
Right.
I want to get something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get nothing from giving.
Yeah. So yeah, am I willing, the people that God's placed in my life, because God's placed them in my life, am I willing to love them and if called to suffer, to be patient with, and in turn show them kindness? And that's a challenge. I know it might be easy to talk about this, like on a podcast. Yeah, just be patient and kind. But I mean, that's a choice, and it's a hard one.
Right. Well, and this is about expressing real love, really with people.
Yeah.
And we can't get away from people.
Yeah.
So this is very, very applicable.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, Tory.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Puma. And I'm excited for this series. I know you have some great verses to dissect as we go on. And thank you guys for joining us too. I sound like a broken record, and I'm okay with that, because I do appreciate you guys following us on this journey. And, I know I'm challenged and encouraged by these podcasts. I hope you are too. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to email us at thepumapodcast@gmail.com. And guys, hey, thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next week, Fridays at 10:10. Until then, guys, bye.
Yep, bye-bye.